Welcome back, guys. Driving with Stu here, and today I am super excited because we are reviewing the most iconic electric SUV of 2023, the IONIQ 5 Ultimate Package. We are going to take a look at the exterior, the interior, the tech, and the EV specs like range and charging. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with the exterior. Up front, we have a very unique but attractive design. I love the sci-fi feel to it. Reminds me of a Transformers movie. And unlike a lot of other vehicles, the IONIQ's body lines really pop and grab your attention. Fantastic. I also love the 3D pixelated running lights up front. Reminds me of 1980s technology, and it gives you that subtle blast from the past. And the fun doesn't stop with the side profile either. We've got more crazy body lines. The fender flares and the side skirts pop right out of the body paint. And in addition to these futuristic wheels, it all makes it look like the IONIQ's moving even when it's perfectly still. The rear end looks like a 1980s spaceship, and we have this retro pixelated taillight from corner to corner that adds even more wow factor when you see one of these driving down the road. We have even more space age silver trim down below with all these trapezoidal cuts everywhere and integrated brake lights. Really cool, really unique, great touch. And one more really cool feature that you can't really notice until you look up top is this rear spoiler with functional air vents, much like on the front of a Ford GT. When you see details like this, it really makes you appreciate the care and craftsmanship that went into this design. If you guys are enjoying this review so far, hit the thumbs up on the video and smash that subscribe button for me. Next up is the interior, starting with the rear trunk. Now from the outside, you wouldn't think that the IONIQ would have a huge rear cargo area, but it's deceptively big and you have plenty of space for luggage, whatever you need to throw in on those long road trips. And when you fold the seats down flat, you've got even more space for the big cargo when you need it. On to the back seats. Not only do I have a ton of legroom back here, but the seats are also super comfy and they have a nice cushion to them. They're heated, they recline, and they also slide forwards and backwards if you want to adjust your rear cargo space. On to the front seats of the IONIQ. They look great, they're very comfortable, and they have 12 ways of power adjustment. Now for a guy like me, where comfort is key on those long road trips, because I want to feel as good when I arrive as when I left, the IONIQ is going to deliver just that for you. I'm a big fan of the cushion, the feel of these seats, the quality of the leather. Very, very nice job on the IONIQ. Now, Hyundai's also given you heated and cooled seats. And another cool feature is this integrated footrest. Now you're probably wondering, when am I going to use a footrest? Well, when you stop for a charge, you can actually recline this seat way back, put the footrest out, and have a little nap while you're waiting for it to charge up for the next chapter of your road trip. Next up is this center console. And I gotta admit, I'm not really feeling the design here. It's basically just an armrest with a pair of cup holders. We've got a lot of open floor space I think Hyundai could have utilized to add more storage compartments and maybe even some hard buttons for the climate and the heated seats controls, which you actually have to go through the screen menus to find, and that can be kind of distracting when you're driving down the highway. The center console kind of seems out of place in amongst all the other cool design elements Hyundai's done here, but I guess you can't have it all. Sliding over to the steering wheel here, you get a futuristic spaceship feel to it with the dual spoke design and the flat bottom. It feels good in the hands, and the leather they've wrapped it with is really nice as well. But I'm not really sure about the button layout here. The buttons and the center of the steering wheel are really basic, almost like there wasn't a ton of thought put into it. I think Hyundai could have done a better job here on the centerpiece of this car, and I hope to see that change in future models. Now behind the steering wheel, we have the controls for the signals, the headlights. On this side, we have our windshield wipers, and just below that is our gear selector. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I really don't like this gear selector at all. I feel like it's something that you'd find in a Fiat 500 or a Mini Cooper. It looks like the designers at Hyundai really tried to do something special, but it didn't really turn out that great. Now I get it, it kind of matches some of the other design cues in the car, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of this little pinch and twist movement required to shift into gear. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now moving on to the dash in the IONIQ 5. It looks pretty good, but to be honest, I thought Hyundai might have stepped this up a little bit further to match the exterior styling cues. Would have been cool to see a little bit more of the 1980s elements integrated into the dash, and maybe even a cool passenger display like we've seen in some other vehicles. But in comparison to the other SUVs in its class, I'd say this dash is probably one of the better looking dashes when you compare them side by side. Now moving on to the tech. I really love the driver's cluster screen in behind the steering wheel here. I think the graphics look really sharp, they're super high resolution, and I think Hyundai's done a really good job of making this very different from the graphics you'll see in the other EV SUVs. One thing I'm kind of puzzled about is this dead space here on the left side of the screen. I think it might be a speaker cover, I'm not really sure, but it's kind of out of place with the other two screens on the dash here. And looking at these two screens, it looks like the center screen is the same size as the driver's cluster. And generally the center screen tends to be a little bit bigger. It has a little bit more usable information on there. What I think would have been a game changer for Hyundai is if they made this whole piece one large usable LCD screen, similar to the Mercedes EQS, where it's LCD right across the front dash. I think that's a really cool touch, and maybe they'll come out with that in the future models of the Hyundai IONIQ. Now, one thing I love is the old radio tube graphics they've incorporated into the screen here. The animation is extremely vibrant and jumps right off the screen when you're tuning the channel. Excellent choice for Hyundai. Now, the IONIQ Ultimate package is going to have your industry standard navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, adaptive cruise control, and it now has smart lane centering. This is a bit of an upgrade from its predecessor, a little bit more intuitive and safe on the highway. Now, one big feature we can't miss is the Smart Park. Let's say you find a great parking spot, but it's a little bit too tight to fit and open your doors as well. You can actually perpendicularly park this vehicle right from your key fob. Super handy, especially if you live downtown of a busy city where parking is limited. All right, now let's talk power, driving range, and charging. The IONIQ 5 long range all-wheel drive pumps out 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5 seconds and has a max range of 488 kilometers. Not too bad at all. Now, in terms of charging, Hyundai provides a level 1 110 volt charger with the car. Now, unfortunately, this takes days to charge your IONIQ, and that's why I'd suggest at least going with a level 2 charger and having that installed at your home. On the 240 volt level 2 charger, this will charge the IONIQ from 10 to 80% in 6 hours and 43 minutes. Next is the 400 volt fast charging station that will bring the battery from 10 to 80% in only 25 minutes. And if you charge the IONIQ on the 800 volt supercharging station, it'll charge from 10 to 80% in only 18 minutes. So I hope that answers any questions that you might have about charging the IONIQ 5. With all things considered, I'd have to give the IONIQ a solid 7 out of 10. I love the exterior styling. The seats are super comfy, the range is great, and so is the charging, but they could have done a better job on the center console and the dash. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, smash that subscribe button for me so I can continue to make great content like this. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.